Stuka Joe here, and this is my first top 10 video ever. It's about wargaming, but it's much more than that. This is about thanking somebody very special for me, and if you've been following my channel for the last 4 years, you know who that person is. His name is Dan Pancaldi. You may know him from his No Enemies Here YouTube channel, where every Saturday he gives out the news, new war games coming out, as well as videos of war games by fellow YouTubers, podcasts, and wargaming conventions. But I happen to know Dan since 2014, when he started to make music for my videos. So I decided to make a top 10 countdown of my favorite musical pieces that Dan has made for specific games for which I've made videos. So let's get started. I'll be making the countdown from number 10 to number 1, and I'll be talking about Dan and other wargaming matters in between. So here's my number 10, which is the video for Down in Flames World War II, Aces High. So, how did I meet Dan? For starters, he's in Canada, I'm in Puerto Rico. At the time when I met him, I was using the same music as an intro for all of my videos, and that was the anthem of the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez, which I recorded with my brother, an instrumental version. And I'll play it for you, so you know what that is. Well, one day I received an email from Dan asking me to clarify some rule from Patton's Best. Oh, that's an Avalon Hill game, which is kind of similar to B-17. So I clarified the rules question he had, and he told me he was a musician and a wargamer and asked me if I needed music for my videos. I responded, well, music would be nice, and he sent me some samples. So I started using his music right away, and the first time was in episode 5 of the B-17 Queen of the Sky series. And here's a short clip where you can hear Dan's music as part of the music of the combat scenes.
First wave makes contact. Coming our way, 4 ME-109s. Our crews are in their positions, ready to receive the attackers. The bandits come from 9 and 12 o'clock. Our good fighter cover only manages to drive one bandit away, so our crew will have to do the rest of the job. Joe Stedman fires, but misses. Next is the bombardier Marco Arnaudo, but he also misses. Castelli at the top turret spray fires, and the bandit breaks off. Jason Young also sprayed mines, but does not destroy the bandit.
And from then on, Dan started to make music for my videos. And this is original music for specific games for which I needed music for. And the first one was not even a war game. It was Thunder Alley by GMT, which is a car racing game. And I loved what he was doing, so I was fortunate to have his music in my videos from then on. So now we continue with the countdown to number 9, and this is the theme song for Bailen 20 of the Napoleonic 20 series. Why music in wargaming videos? Well, music allows to set a tone for the video. And when I would ask Dan for some music, I would give him an idea of what I wanted in terms of mood, instrumentation, something that I would believe would mesh well with the historical content of the war game, which is shown in the video. And I used musical introductions also as an opportunity to show some images of the conflict and also show the game's credit. A lot of work goes into designing, developing, and putting together these games, and the people who make it possible deserve to be so recognized. So in essence, Dan's music allowed me to present all this information in a very elegant way, which I still continue to do to this day. So now we move on to number 8 in the countdown, the theme song for Night of Man. Dan's grandfather was Vincenzo Di Ciccio, and he was part of the Bersaglieris in World War II. So he was a soldier in the Italian army, and the Bersaglieris were a special unit in that army. Now, Dan happens to live near one of our hobby's top designers, and that's Carl Paradis, the designer of the No Retreat series, which I have all of its installments. It's called the No Retreat series, but Carl, I've checked the combat result tables, and there's like 4 or 5 different retreat results there. I don't know what happened. I'm just kidding. Carl had the elegance and the touch of including the photograph of Dan's grandfather in Bersaglieri uniform in one of the counters of his No Retreat, the Italian front game. That was really cool, and I tip my hat off to Carl for that. And of course, the music for that game is the next one in our countdown at number 7, the theme song for No Retreat, the Italian front. Patience. Well, that's one of the qualities of Dan. Believe me, I've tested this. I can be a pest at times when I request something, and with Dan, it is a particular piece of music. It happens that I play a little music myself. I play keyboards, and I know a little bit about sequencing music. So it's common for me to tell Dan, can you increase the tempo to 90 beats per second? And can you add an accordion to give the tune a more Russian sound? Hey, how about more legato here, less staccato? And then he would have to burn a new version of the tune for me and send it over. He knows, he follows through, and he always delivers exactly what I want. And this next piece is a great example of achieving the sound that I want. This is the theme for Battle of Stalingrad, which is the number 6 on the list. Dan Pancaldi is a Canadian of Italian descent. There's a lot of Italian in this guy, believe me. I've been calling Dan throughout this video as Dan, but I rarely call him Dan when I speak to him. I call him Duce. Yeah, I know, it's not politically correct, but for people who know me, political correctness has never been high in my set of priorities in life, and you probably may have noticed, otherwise I wouldn't go by the name of Stuka Joe to begin with. Spitfire Joe, I don't know, Mustang Joe, just doesn't cut it. Mustang Joe sounds like a rodeo kind of guy. Stuka Joe has a nice ring to it, and I'm sticking to it, so don't worry. So I call him Il Duce, and Kevin Sharp also calls him like that, so it's even catching.
And of course I'm talking about the No Enemies Here competition that's been running for the last few weeks, maybe a month or so, where the Duce has been, Danny has been...
So have you ever hear me say, well, I spoke last week with Il Duce. Well, obviously I didn't speak to Mussolini. I was talking about Maestro Pancaldi, which is how I call him right before I'm about to play his music in my video. So here's our next Pancaldi piece in our countdown. And this music captures very well the sense of urgency of the theme of this specific game. And this is number 5, the theme for Picket Duty, Maestro Pancaldi. Dan made 1-minute videos for me, which was fine. They never went over 1 minute, and they worked very well. However, he and I started noticing that perhaps music pieces that were a little longer would give him an opportunity to include additional parts in each piece. So I started noticing also that the musical themes for many Netflix and Amazon series are between 60 to 90 seconds long. And I asked him to increase the length of the pieces. Who knows, maybe one day Netflix or Amazon will knock on his door and ask him for a piece for one of their series. And they could definitely use the next one, which is number 4 on my list, the theme for Dawn of the Seds, 3rd edition. Dan's always asking me, when are you going to do the CDG solo method rules for Combat Commander? Well, for those of you who don't know, the CDG solo method is a way I developed of playing card-driven games in a solitaire fashion to the best of your ability, in a way that people find entertaining and provides certain levels of uncertainty. Now, Dan loves Combat Commander. It's one of his favorite games, but I haven't figured out a way of playing that game with the CDG solo method yet. I hope I'll do one day. However, this next piece is one I asked Dan for the CDG solo method using Paths of Glory. This one is about 40 seconds long, so it's not the usual length, but I still love it anyway. So this is number 3 coming up right now. Every Saturday morning, I walk to the bakery near my home at around 8 a.m. to get myself some breakfast and bring breakfast home for my sons and my little brother who is living with me. And while having breakfast at the bakery, I always pull out my cell phone, put on my headphones, and watch No Enemies Here, Wargaming News. And that's Dan's show. And Dan recently held a contest where his subscribers voted for the Grognard of the Year. And to my shock, I was the winner. I'm the No Enemies Here Grognard of the Year for 2018. And I deeply appreciate the gaming community's vote for me and appreciation for me and my channel. It's a great honor. And I've discovered through all this time doing wargaming videos what's so great about our wargaming hobby. And it is that even though the games deal with something as horrific as war is, these games are designed, developed, published, and played by loving, caring, respectful, honest, generous, family-oriented people. It's just amazing how peaceful wargamers are. So, now we move on to my number 2 Pancaldi tune for a war game. And that's the theme music for Churchill.
We shall never surrender.
I've known Dan Pancaldi since February of 2014. He's made music for my videos, wonderful music, just a wonderful friend. But I have yet to stretch his hand. Never met him in person. We communicate, we talk twice a week through FaceTime. And it is through FaceTime that he's known everything that has happened to me, and I've known what's happened to him throughout these years. And he's been with me through thick and thin. This year, there was a lot of thin. Now, this year, for example, I learned how tall Dan is. When he asked me after watching the Consim World Expo 2018 video, "Hey, Joe, how tall are you?" And I told him how tall I was. I'm not going to tell you because then you're going to figure out how tall he is. But I'm a foot taller than Dan is. So I'm really looking forward to meeting him in person, to ask him how the weather is down there. Perhaps in the summer, can take a trip to Canada, or who knows, perhaps we can meet halfway at a gaming convention. Who knows? It would be great to meet him, and the sooner the better. So now I've arrived at my number 1 Dan Pancaldi theme song for a wargaming video. And this is the music for Secret Weapons of the Third Reich. I just love this one, folks. So, here we go. Maestro Pancaldi. And there you have it, my top 10 Dan Pancaldi tunes for wargame videos of specific wargames. Now, if you've noticed, each one of those videos pertains to a game, a specific game. Now, my favorite all-time music for wargame videos is one that I love so much that I use repeatedly for my preview videos. Now, what's a preview video? I still don't know myself, but it doesn't matter. So I'll say goodbye now, and I'll play the theme that I use for the preview videos. Now, before doing that, I want to wish all of my viewers, and of course my good friend Dan Pancaldi, a happy new year, Dan, and I wish to be able to meet you in person. The sooner, the better. So this top 10 is for you, my friend. And as I always say, this is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for watching, and take it away, Maestro Pancaldi.